Alright, this is the second review I'm doing for the Logitech G302, and this is a 6-month post-review, so I've already reviewed it. I've been using the mouse for over 6 months, and now I'm revisiting it just so you guys can get a better idea of what this mouse is going to feel like long term rather than my initial thoughts on it. Alright, so let's just quickly have a look at the shape. You're going to notice that it's not the traditional shape and size and all that. It is a bit smaller than most of the other mice, and you notice that you have these protruding edges here, and they can seem like they might be a bit uncomfortable, but I'll get into this a bit in a second, and I have to say they're some of the most comfortable. In fact, since I picked up this mouse, I knew I liked it. It just felt good in the hand. I use palm grip, so for those out there that are worried that claw grip won't work, not the case. They actually designed this for claw grip and fingertip grip, so you're going to be fine. But for the people worried about palm grip, let me assure you, as long as you have a hand size similar to mine, I'd say, that's 19 centimeters from down about there all the way up to the top of the middle finger, 19 centimeter distance, it feels perfect in the hand for us, for palm grip. And when you have a hand down, there's pretty much no space in between there at the back, so it's just a good fit. Now, so why are these protruding edges a good thing? Here and here, for this side, the thumb fits right, I don't know if you can see it in there, but it fits right on there and you can get a good grip and it's just solid and comfortable. On this side, actually it's a bit hard to see that way, your little finger just wants to go right on the edge there where it starts to go from this area to the downward slope, or the incline, I guess I should call it. And that gives you a firm grip on the mouse right there. Then this finger can go anywhere along here, no problem, doesn't touch the mouse pad. You've got full control of the mouse, perfect. So shape-wise, love it, amazing mouse, very cool in that regard. Now, I don't know if you care about the lights, but these are on full bright. You can have them on a breathing effect, but they're not a big deal. If you want the multicolored one, you go for the G303. That's 303 by the way. I'm just lazy and I'm saying O. But 303 gives you the multicolored LEDs. This one is just set to blue, and that's fine. Okay, so buttons. How many buttons do you have? 6 all up. That's 1, 2, 3 for the mouse button, 4 and 5 on the side there, and then 6. There are no buttons on this side, which for me is a good thing, because as a palm grip person, this finger here would be connecting there on those buttons all the time. Just like the Razer Diamondback, it was horrible for that. I always used to click those buttons in, very distracting, not cool. So while this isn't good for left-handers, because you've got these buttons on this side, it is good for right-handers. Hopefully if the mouse gets popular enough, they will start to make a left-handed version for you guys as well. The sound of the buttons isn't bad, it's not like super noisy. Let's have a listen to them. That's just a normal click. I'm opening stuff on my screen. Hang on, there we go. That's if I slam it, but you don't want to slam it. You just want to gently press it in. Comparison, here's a Death Adder 2013. So you can slam any mouse you want. It's not going to be a good thing. Death Adder's higher pitch. These ones probably sound better. Which one's harder to push in? You know what, I think the Logitech might, and I'll just quickly state that my fingers have become a bit sore using this mouse. Don't know why. I can type pretty damn quickly and don't get sore fingers, so this mouse, just haven't really been able to get used to the pressure needed, so I'm not a big fan of that. Definitely prefer the Death Adder. And here's the G502 for extra comparison. Super loud, but I'll do a review on that one later, and I'll go into that. So overall, the mouse buttons on this, quite good, and the side buttons here are just fine as well. Now on the top you do have a DPI switch. You can set multiple DPIs. I usually have it set to 2, so basically 1800 DPI and 2200 DPI, so it's not too much faster, but it gives you that extra speed. But if you're going to be playing multiple games, I'd set it to the full 5, and then you can go through from say 400 all the way to 4000, and that gives you that really good versatility. So speaking of the sensor in this mouse, it does only go to 4000 dpi, but that's not a problem because the acceleration is handled beautifully. Now with my playing style, and the reason I've named the channel Rocket Jump Ninja, is because I'm flicking the mouse constantly and just ninjaing around the map in Quake. So I needed a mouse that can keep up with that and not have any problems with it, especially with, you know, the whole spin out thing. You don't want to be looking up after you've done a flick, because then you don't know where you are and you could get killed, so that's not cool. So this mouse is one of those mice that you can have full faith in. It won't let you down. The sensor is absolutely amazing and it has never spun out on me, and as fast as I've thrown it across the mouse pad, it just doesn't want to spin out, which is great. So whatever the new sensor they've put in these Logitech mice is, it's amazing, and they need to keep on doing that. So 4000 dpi, doesn't matter, this mouse sensor is amazing, really not an issue. One thing I have noticed that I don't like, at first I thought, yeah, that's cool, it's a good feature, and you won't be able to tell this, but you can actually feel each time it clicks over, which is great. Here's what I don't like about it though. When you're scrolling up and down pages really quickly, too noisy. Here's the contrast comparison. This one's a bit rattly compared to most Death Adders, so don't judge it too harshly, but the Death Adders definitely have a nicer mouse wheel. It's spongy, but that means it's soft and feels quite nice, and that's a really nice rubber on top there. This is just very basic, and it is a cheaper mouse, so fair enough. But at the same time, I don't like the direction that they're taking that now. At first I was cool with it, but after use and just scrolling around heaps, yeah, it's not a big thing. That said, not a deal breaker. This is a cheap mouse and it does beautifully for what it is. There are no weights or extra features in this. All you really need to know is sensor is amazing, feels good in the hand, the buttons are good enough, they click in nicely. In fact, a lot of people love those buttons. It does have a DPI switch. 6 buttons on a mouse for me is perfect. It's not overly doing it, it's not underdoing it. So what would I use this mouse for? It's made for MOBAs, but I use it for FPS gaming, first person shooter. So I'm playing mostly Quake and things with that, but that's it. I've played with real-time strategy and whatever other games I've been playing lately, but they've all been fine. This mouse is an all-purpose mouse. The most important thing for me is being able to aim in an FPS. Once the mouse gets bigger, it's harder to move. So if you have a bigger hand, then you can probably go with a bigger mouse than this. But personally, I found this so much easier to aim with because it does have that smaller shape and design to it. And it doesn't weigh your hand down, the weight is quite good. The only thing I will say about that is it's a bit counterbalanced to the back rather than the front. And that's apparently a design feature for MOBA gaming, so fair enough. I will just quickly point out, it's a bit rattly at the top when you tap it. Here's a Death Adder for contrast. Actually sounds worse, but it's not. Yeah, that's definitely worse. So that wasn't a cool thing. That one's quite loud too. So Logitech mice, I've got the other one here too. This is G302. Whoa. Terrible. They're not deal breakers, but they're just something thought I should point out for you, just in case there's an issue. But you know, when you're gaming, you've got headphones on or speakers up, you don't hear that stuff, even though you're throwing the mouse like this all the time. It's fine. Alright, so aim-wise, I think this mouse is good for snipering. So if you're point and click shooter, if you're tracking, so rapid fire, projectile like rockets and all that, flicking, obviously very good, and you feel like you can aim. This isn't one of those mice where you just sort of feel uncoordinated with it, like this one. This one I think is the most uncoordinated feeling mouse ever, but it is a great mouse in its own right. I'll get into the review of that later. But for this one, it just feels great, it aims well, it's just great. The build quality isn't the best, it is very plasticky. That said, it feels good, so there's no complaint there either. The size, as I said, it is a smaller mouse, but it's quite good. In fact, that's exactly what I wanted, that's why I bought it. And the look, I think it's a good looking mouse. It's got a very cool, unique shape. The grip, there's no like special grips like on these things, and the Death Adder and all that. Got all that nice, like, don't know if you can see it on camera, but the texture is definitely better on those ones. But that said, I've never had a problem gripping it. It doesn't slip out of my hand or anything, even during an Australian summer. It's fine, so the grips are perfect. The materials used, it is very plasticky. I do prefer the more rubberized finish, but again, haven't had any problems, so I'm not going to complain about it. Just saying, it could be better. I wouldn't mind paying a bit more for this mouse if they just added a few little things to it. Yeah, it would be perfect if you just had the grip and maybe a nicer finish on it rather than the plastic filling and that whole tapping thing. Other than that, it's great. So as for the buttons, as I mentioned, they're very clicky and they do hurt my fingers after a while, but not a deal breaker, so that's fine. The weight is a bit too far in the back, and you can't add more weights, but that's fine. As I said, like, I'm used to it now and feels good. Now, as for the cable, I'm going to just quickly do this so you can see how I've done it. You want to get the mouse to be slightly off the desk, so about this distance. And then once you have it right, you don't want to just use it like that because that can catch and actually that's not too bad considering. Alright, but if you can't get it something like that, which I've just fluked because I didn't mean to do that, basically you want to twist the mouse over like this until you get it to loop. There it goes. Now I usually would want to anchor this down, I usually would, but for the purpose of the review I won't because it's too much effort. But you anchor the mouse cord down there with maybe a speaker or just something that's a bit heavier than usual, and then you play like this and you've got this slack in the loop. Okay, it's not meant to go like that. It's probably better on the other side, to be honest. Yeah, that's better. So you want to get it to, well, my strategy around this, I'm not saying it's perfect, but the way that I do it is just twist the mouse over until you get the loop. So you got that extra slack, you won't break the cable there or anything like that. You can move it around as much as you want and it shouldn't be a problem. The only problem that I can foresee if you don't have the mouse pad down or whatever, that can actually, and you have it on that side, it could loop around and pick up the mouse pad. So be wary of that. But that's how I've combated this cable, which isn't the best. It's not braided, it's not nicely done or anything, it's just a very stiff rubber cable, and people do complain about that. But for me, it's not a big issue because I did find a solution around it, a way around it, so it's fine. Okay, the only extra on this mouse I would say is the DPI switch, and that's all you need as far as I'm concerned, so that's great. The lights, very standard, but they look cool. They put a nice pattern on the mouse pad, even though it's a bit one-sided. Probably would be cool if it was up here too, so the whole thing just illuminates the mouse pad. But I'm not complaining, the lights just aren't that big a deal to me. So the overall mojo of this mouse, do I like it? Would I recommend it? Absolutely, it is a great mouse. It's probably my favorite mouse to use, especially for aiming. It just improves my game so much, it was well worth the purchase price. So I'm giving this a Ninja rating. It is definitely up there. Can dominate rocket jumping with it and all that, so it's brilliant, love it. Definitely recommended, go buy it if it suits you based on the things that I've said. If you have any questions, feel free to ask below. I will get back to you and let you know whether or not you should buy it based on my opinions. And if you want me to do some testing, I can do that too, but I've already done some other like sensor testing in that, so I can just tell you the results, no problem. Also, I have a novel available on Smashwords, free to download, set in World War IV, lots of fun. Give it a try and let me know what you think of that too. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you in the next video.